What if abundance is not something you must chase, capture, or persuade to enter your life? What if abundance is already present within you as a quiet spiritual reality, waiting for your attention to turn toward it? What if the deepest form of prosperity is not measured only by money, possessions, achievement, or recognition, but by the richness of your consciousness, the peace in your heart, the wisdom in your choices, and the love you are able to give and receive? Paramahansa Yogananda taught that human beings are not merely limited personalities struggling against an uncertain world. Beneath the changing circumstances of life, each person carries a divine potential that cannot be diminished by temporary failure, financial difficulty, rejection, or fear. The abundance mindset begins when you remember this inner source. It is not a demand that you ignore hardship or pretend that everything is perfect. It is a conscious decision to stop allowing scarcity to become the central story of your life. Scarcity says there is never enough. There is not enough time, money, love, opportunity, talent, attention, or security. Scarcity encourages you to compare yourself with others and assume that someone else's success diminishes your own possibility. It persuades you to make decisions from panic and to treat every delay as proof that life is working against you. Abundance, by contrast, invites you to recognize that life is not a closed container with a fixed supply of blessings. It encourages you to become receptive, courageous, generous, disciplined, and spiritually awake. Can an affirmation change your life instantly? An affirmation cannot replace action, responsibility, or practical wisdom. However, it can change the direction of your mind in an instant. A single thought can interrupt an anxious pattern. A single sentence can remind you of your dignity. A single conscious breath can create enough space for a wiser decision. When an affirmation is repeated with understanding, feeling, and steady practice, it gradually becomes a new inner habit. The following affirmations are original statements inspired by themes associated with Yogananda's teachings, including divine consciousness, inner strength, faith, self-discipline, and the recognition of a higher source of guidance. They are not presented as direct quotations from Yogananda. Read them slowly. Let each one become more than a sentence. Ask yourself what would change if you truly believed it, and what small action would naturally follow from that belief. Affirmation number 1. I am connected to an unlimited source of wisdom, love, and supply. The first movement into abundance is remembering that you are not spiritually separate from the source of life. Your circumstances may change from day to day, but the deeper reality within you is not as fragile as your external situation. You may experience uncertainty, yet uncertainty does not mean that you are abandoned. You may be facing financial pressure, yet financial pressure does not define the full measure of your future. You may not know how an opportunity will appear, yet not knowing the path does not mean that no path exists. When you repeat, I am connected to an unlimited source of wisdom, love, and supply, you are not making a promise that every desire will be fulfilled exactly as imagined. You are affirming that your life contains more possibility than fear allows you to see. You are opening yourself to ideas, relationships, insights, opportunities, and forms of support that may arrive in unexpected ways. You are also remembering that supply is not only something received from outside yourself. Your creativity is a form of supply. Your patience is a form of supply. Your ability to learn, adapt, communicate, serve, and begin again is a form of supply. How often have you mistaken a temporary lack of evidence for the absence of possibility? How many times have you decided that a door was closed simply because you could not yet see another one? When you feel anxious about the future, can you pause before accepting the thought that you are alone? What resources are already present in your life that fear has caused you to overlook? Which skills, friendships, experiences, or inner qualities could become more valuable if you began to trust them? An abundance mindset does not ask you to deny the facts. If your finances need attention, you can create a budget. If you need work, you can update your materials, contact people, learn a skill, and apply consistently. If a relationship is unhealthy, you can establish boundaries. Spiritual trust is not passivity. It is the strength to act without allowing fear to dictate every action. When you remember your connection to a greater source, practical steps become expressions of faith rather than desperate attempts to prove your worth. Yogananda's spiritual vision emphasized the power of focused thought and the importance of directing consciousness toward the divine. Your attention is one of the most precious forms of energy you possess. Whatever you repeatedly contemplate begins to shape your emotional atmosphere and influence your behavior. If you continually focus on shortage, rejection, and catastrophe, your mind becomes trained to locate more evidence of them. If you train your attention to notice guidance, possibility, gratitude, and constructive action, you begin to perceive openings that were previously hidden by anxiety. Try placing one hand over your heart and taking a slow breath. As you inhale, silently say, "I am connected." As you exhale, say, "I am supported." Then repeat the affirmation with a calm, deliberate voice. I am connected to an unlimited source of wisdom, love, and supply. Do not rush to create a dramatic feeling. Let the words settle into you. You are not trying to force the universe to obey a demand. You are releasing the belief that you must create your entire future through fear and strain. What would you do today if you believed that guidance could reach you through your own quiet awareness? Would you make the call you have been postponing? Would you submit the proposal, begin the project, or ask for assistance? Would you stop spending energy rehearsing every possible disaster? Perhaps abundance would first appear as the courage to take one honest step. This affirmation can also transform your relationship with other people's success. When you believe that life is governed only by limited supply, another person's achievement may feel threatening. Their opportunity may seem to confirm that there is less available for you. But when you remember an unlimited source, you can allow someone else's success to become evidence that possibility is real. You can admire without diminishing yourself. You can learn without comparing. You can celebrate another person while remaining faithful to your own path. Abundance also asks you to become a channel rather than a container. A container clings to everything because it fears emptiness. A channel allows wisdom, compassion, creativity, and material resources to move through it. This does not mean giving away everything or neglecting your own needs. It means allowing what you receive to be used meaningfully. What knowledge can you share? What encouragement can you offer? What service can you provide? What would happen if your desire for prosperity included the desire to contribute to the well-being of others? As you repeat this affirmation, notice whether your mind immediately objects. Perhaps it says, "That is unrealistic," or "You have no proof." You do not have to argue with the objection. Simply recognize it as an old pattern. Then ask, what would be a more balanced thought? You might answer, "I do not know exactly how everything will unfold, but I am capable of learning, responding, and recognizing opportunities." That thought is grounded, empowering, and open to abundance. Affirmation number 2. I release fear and allow divine intelligence to guide my thoughts and actions. The second affirmation is a release. Before abundance can be welcomed, some of the mental habits that block it must be softened. Fear often creates the illusion that constant worry is a form of preparation. It tells you that if you imagine every negative outcome, you will somehow be protected from pain. Yet worry rarely creates wisdom. More often, it narrows your perception, weakens your confidence, and causes you to overlook the choices available in the present moment. Repeat this affirmation: I release fear and allow divine intelligence to guide my thoughts and actions. What fear has been making decisions for you? Are you remaining in a situation because you believe change is impossible? Are you refusing an opportunity because you might fail? Are you exhausting yourself by trying to control how everyone sees you? Are you holding tightly to resentment because letting go feels like surrender? What might become possible if you no longer treated fear as the highest authority in your life? Releasing fear does not mean becoming careless. Fear can sometimes signal that you need more information, stronger boundaries, or a slower pace. The goal is not to eliminate every uncomfortable feeling. The goal is to stop confusing fear with truth. Fear says, "This feeling is intense, so it must be accurate." Wisdom says, "This feeling is real, but I can examine it with patience." Divine intelligence, in this context, can be understood as the deeper clarity that becomes available when the restless mind grows quiet. It may express itself as intuition, conscience, discernment, creative insight, or a sudden recognition of what needs to be done. It is not the same as impulsiveness. Impulsiveness demands immediate relief. Inner guidance can remain steady even when the answer requires courage or patience. Yogananda often emphasized concentration, meditation, and the inward search for peace. These practices are especially valuable when you are attempting to shift from scarcity into abundance. A mind dominated by noise may interpret every possibility through old assumptions. A mind that has learned to become still can distinguish between a genuine opportunity and an anxious compulsion. It can hear the difference between, "I must do this to prove that I am enough," and "This action aligns with my values and abilities." When you repeat the affirmation, imagine fear as a clenched fist. With every exhalation, allow the fist to loosen. You are not throwing away your intelligence or ignoring responsibility. You are releasing the tension that prevents you from using them well. Say, "I release fear." Breathe. Then say, "I allow divine intelligence to guide my thoughts and actions." Breathe again. Let the affirmation become an invitation to respond rather than react. What would a guided action look like in your current circumstances? It may be less dramatic than you expect. It could mean reviewing your finances instead of avoiding them. It could mean making a realistic plan instead of criticizing yourself. It could mean asking a qualified person for advice. It could mean resting because exhaustion has made every problem seem larger. It could mean declining an offer that looks profitable but violates your principles. Abundance is not merely the arrival of more. It is the wisdom to recognize what truly supports your life. Scarcity often encourages urgency without clarity. It makes you believe that if you do not act immediately, you will lose everything. This mindset can lead to impulsive purchases, unhealthy commitments, desperate relationships, and choices designed to impress rather than nourish you. The abundance mindset creates room for discernment. It allows you to ask, "Is this genuinely aligned with my well-being, or am I trying to escape discomfort?" The more you practice releasing fear, the more you may notice how frequently it disguises itself as certainty. "This will never work. People like me do not succeed. There is no point in trying. I always ruin things." These statements may feel conclusive, but they are interpretations shaped by past experiences. Can you replace them with questions? Instead of saying, "This will never work," ask, "What might I learn by exploring it?" Instead of saying, "There is no point," ask, what is one useful step I can take? Instead of saying, I always fail, ask, what have previous challenges taught me? Questions are powerful because they redirect attention. A fearful statement closes the mind, while a sincere question creates space. What if this challenge is developing a quality you will need later? What if the delay is giving you time to prepare? What if the opportunity is not gone, but changing form? What if your worth is not dependent on the outcome? These questions do not guarantee a particular result, but they help you meet reality with greater intelligence. Allowing divine intelligence to guide your actions also means becoming more honest. Abundance cannot flourish for long where self-deception is protected. You may need to acknowledge that an old habit is costing you energy, that a goal no longer reflects your values, or that you need help. Honesty can feel like loss at first, but it creates room for renewal. When you stop defending what is not working, you become available to what might work better. Use this affirmation before making an important decision. Write it at the top of a page, then describe the situation without exaggeration. What do you know? What do you not know? What is fear predicting? What does your calmest, wisest self recognize? What action is both courageous and responsible? After answering, wait long enough for the emotional intensity to settle. Often, guidance becomes clearer when you no longer demand an immediate answer from a frightened mind. Affirmation number 3. I am worthy of prosperity, and I use every blessing with wisdom and purpose. The third affirmation addresses worthiness. Many people desire abundance consciously while unconsciously believing that they must remain deprived, overworked, invisible, or guilty in order to be good. They may fear that prosperity will make them selfish, that success will separate them from others, or that receiving more will invite criticism. Some have learned to give freely but receive reluctantly. Others have been taught that spiritual depth requires rejecting material well-being altogether. Repeat this affirmation. I am worthy of prosperity, and I use every blessing with wisdom and purpose. What beliefs about money and success did you inherit? Who taught you that wanting more was noble, shameful, dangerous, or impossible? Do you believe you must struggle before you are permitted to receive? Do you apologize when someone appreciates your work? Can you accept support without immediately feeling indebted or undeserving? What would prosperity mean if it were measured not by appearance, but by freedom, stability, generosity, health, creativity, and meaningful service? Worthiness is not something you earn through exhaustion. You do not become more valuable because you suffer more. You do not need to prove your right to exist by producing endlessly. At the same time, recognizing your worth does not mean expecting rewards without effort. It means allowing effort to come from self-respect rather than self-rejection. You work, learn, improve, and contribute because your life matters, not because you are trying to purchase the right to matter. Prosperity can take many forms. It may be financial abundance, but it may also be time to think, the health to participate in life, the courage to express yourself, the presence of loving relationships, or the freedom to choose work that aligns with your conscience. If you define abundance too narrowly, you may overlook the blessings already surrounding you. If you define it too vaguely, you may fail to take practical steps toward the conditions you genuinely need. What kind of prosperity would make your life more peaceful and useful? What kind would merely feed comparison or vanity? Yogananda's teachings connect outer life with inner consciousness, while also emphasizing disciplined living and the expansion of awareness. Prosperity, from this perspective, is most fulfilling when it serves a higher purpose. Money can support education, shelter, creativity, family, healing, and service. Influence can be used to uplift rather than manipulate. Success can become a platform for generosity rather than a wall separating you from others. Ask yourself, if I received the prosperity I desire, who would I become? Would you become more relaxed, more generous, and more creative? Or would you become more controlling, suspicious, and afraid of losing what you gained? This question is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to help you prepare your consciousness for what you are asking to receive. Abundance magnifies habits. If you are already practicing gratitude, responsibility, and generosity, greater resources can strengthen those qualities. If fear and insecurity govern you, more possessions alone may not create peace. You are worthy of receiving, but you are also capable of using what you receive well. These two truths belong together. When you accept a compliment, let it nourish you rather than deflecting it. When someone offers assistance, consider whether receiving allows a relationship to become more balanced. When your work creates value, permit yourself to charge fairly. When an opportunity appears, do not reject it automatically because you are afraid of being seen. What would you attempt if you no longer believed that success belonged only to other people? What creative project would you begin? What conversation would you have? What training would you pursue? What boundary would you establish? The purpose of affirming worthiness is not to inflate the ego. It is to remove the unnecessary obstacles that prevent your gifts from being expressed. You can practice this affirmation by creating a conscious relationship with gratitude. At the end of the day, notice what arrived through your effort and what arrived through grace. Perhaps you completed meaningful work, received an encouraging message, learned from a mistake, enjoyed a meal, or found a moment of quiet. Gratitude does not require you to deny what is difficult. It teaches the mind to hold difficulty and blessing in the same field of awareness. You can also practice by becoming a trustworthy steward of what you already have. Organize your space. Review your commitments. Care for your body. Track your spending without shame. Finish what you can. Share what is useful. These actions may appear ordinary, but they communicate an important inner message. My resources matter. My life matters. I am prepared to participate consciously in my own prosperity. When you repeat, I am worthy of prosperity, observe any discomfort. You may hear a voice saying that you are being arrogant. Respond gently. Acknowledging my worth does not make me superior to anyone. It helps me honor the life I have been given. You may hear another voice saying that prosperity is unrealistic. Respond. I can remain grounded while becoming more open to possibility. You may hear a voice saying that you must wait until you are perfect. Respond. I am allowed to grow while I receive. The instant shift happens when you stop negotiating against yourself. You do not need to wait until every doubt disappears. You only need to choose a different orientation in this moment. You can turn from panic toward presence, from comparison toward appreciation, from helplessness toward responsibility, and from rigid control toward intelligent trust. Take one final breath and repeat the 3 affirmations as a single movement of consciousness. I am connected to an unlimited source of wisdom, love, and supply. I release fear and allow divine intelligence to guide my thoughts and actions. I am worthy of prosperity, and I use every blessing with wisdom and purpose. Which affirmation speaks most directly to the place where you feel limited? Which one creates resistance? What does that resistance reveal about the beliefs you are ready to examine? What would change if you practiced the affirmation not only when you felt inspired, but also when circumstances seemed to contradict it? What is one practical action you can take today that expresses abundance rather than scarcity? Abundance is not a performance. You do not have to appear positive every moment. You do not have to force gratitude while ignoring pain. You do not have to pretend that loss is gain or that difficulty is easy. True abundance is spacious enough to include grief, uncertainty, responsibility, and rest. It is the capacity to remain connected to possibility even while acknowledging what hurts. The mind may return to old patterns, especially under pressure. When it does, do not interpret the return as failure. Simply begin again. Breathe, notice the thought, and choose the affirmation that restores your balance. The practice becomes powerful through repetition. Over time, you may discover that abundance is not an occasional mood but a way of meeting life. Perhaps the greatest prosperity is the realization that your consciousness can be trained. You are not permanently bound to the beliefs you inherited. You can question them, release them, and replace them with thoughts that are more truthful, compassionate, and constructive. You can become less reactive and more receptive. You can honor practical reality without worshiping limitation. You can work diligently without believing that struggle is your identity. Let today's affirmation be more than a sentence you repeat. Let it become a direction. Look for one opportunity to trust your inner wisdom, one fear to release, and one blessing to use with purpose. Then ask yourself, with sincerity and openness, what abundance is already moving toward me, and how can I become ready to receive it?